Hi guys, welcome to our channel. This is me, Rima.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Jaley.
And guys, if you haven't seen it, you can check out our reaction. We did a full unedited reaction to Snow White. We are revisiting Snow White.
So orchestral.
I know.
Serious.
Rags cannot hide her gentle grace.
Why tell her? She's not going to
She is
appreciate
more
it.
fair than thee.
Magic Mare is trying to cause problems.
Did I frighten you?
Same.
Yeah.
It's kind of a show off.
Yeah, you're like, I was having a private moment with my own echo. Thank you.
It's like, bro, I don't know you.
I have to say, I love the fact that Disney has a lot of love for animals, and that really pleases my heart. Oh, yeah,
My
that is
goodness.
terrifying. What the hell?
I couldn't
Fall
remember
into a
what's so
cave?
scary about this movie. I just know
Well, they're alligators. What the hell?
you've seen stuff.
These forest animals.
Oh, they're precious.
Yeah, the level of detail is impeccable, huh? Small to small things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it
little
can
tail
really take a lot of
movement.
time.
May I come in? I'm coming in with all of these animals.
I know. Can you imagine Snow White visiting you with a ton of animals? Like, I wouldn't
She's like,
mind.
what's
I'd be
going
like,
on?
It'd be a crazy sight, though.
I know. Yeah, the little turtle. Yeah, the attention to detail is incredible. I just love how they're coming up with these ideas to use their tails to do this. Like, it's so...
Licking them.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
And licking herself.
Hi-ho!
It's home from work week.
They sang the song the entire way home.
Yeah.
The voices gotta be tired.
Oh, they're gonna troll him. These freaking birds. They know what they're doing.
Or never off with his head. Break its bones. Chop it to pieces.
Break its bones.
Well, what is it? Why,
What is it?
girl. She's mighty pretty. She's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Well, that works in her favor. She's very respectful of everybody.
Yeah.
How do you do what?
Oh, you can talk. I'm so glad. Let me see your hands.
They might as well be a bunch of kids.
I know what I was gonna say. Oh, don't be nervous.
Gosh, it's wet.
What? They haven't used it ever?
Who now is the fairest one of all?
Oh, God.
Over the 7 jeweled hills, beyond the 7th fall, in the cottage of the 7 dwarfs.
Oh, God, he's even giving location like
No
geo maps.
Damn.
there is
He
one
outed
of
her
all.
so
Snitching.
hard.
Snow.
Disguise book.
Yeah, a whole book on disguises.
I know.
Yeah.
Baby Jaley's freaking out right now.
Yeah. We're about to do the review, which you see up in the title. So we wanted to check out this film because I know in recent times there's been a lot of controversy because Disney is about to make, or I think they've announced, guys, the last I know is in 2025. They postponed because there was so controversy around their live action remake of Snow White. So we're going to have like one separate video about that. But in this video, we're just going to be talking about the movie because we just saw it. Emily saw it for the first time, and Jaley and me were revisiting this from our childhood. So it's been many years. I want to do a little bit of sort of background about Snow White. So again, it was the first full-length animated film in the world. Was a huge feat.
That's
and
crazy.
I don't know, tons of workers. So we can talk about the animation because I think that stood out a lot. It was also nominated for the Oscars. And I had a little bit of an interesting tidbit. So they talk about Snow White, of course, comes from the Grimm's tales, right? They have Snow White, they have Red Riding Hood, several other stories. But a lot of research has suggested that the origins of Snow White could actually lie in history and may have been inspired by the Countess Margareta von Waldeck.
Wow.
Also, the seven dwarfs were involved somewhat in the real life story. So, Margareta's father owned a series of copper mines, and the majority of workers were children. And due to malnutrition and poor working conditions, they were allegedly called poor dwarfs. So, there may be
Mm.
some truth to this tale or this legend that has spun for years and years and years. But let's talk about the movie itself, and then we'll talk about characters and whatever. Emily, we'll start with you because this was your introduction to Snow White. What did you think of it?
I mean, man, it's when you say it's the first animated film. I mean, probably besides Steamboat Willie, I think that was like the true first
Right,
one. But
It's like,
right.
I
yeah,
mean,
Like a full
for
length
this,
whole
one, yeah.
film.
yeah, for this to be the first one, it is incredible to think. Like, if you like, imagine going into the theater and seeing this type of like animation for the first time. I feel like your
Yeah.
mind would just be blown. I feel like it is a
Mm.
product of its time. I feel like they did a really good job animating so many specific movements of the birds,
The parents approve. Right.
of the characters, of the emotions.
Now go! Go! Go!
It's like they really did a good job. And of course it's over time it's going to age a little bit, and there's stuff that I'm sure we'll talk about as far as like storyline and things that like made sense, things didn't make sense, but overall I think it's a unique story.
Yeah.
I wish they would have given more depth to a lot of the characters, but I mean, for a Disney film, an early Disney film, that's not entirely uncommon. But I
Mm.
just have so many questions. It's like, how can Snow White be so nice?
I'm awfully sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you. But you don't know what I've been through.
It's like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like everyone is so
A different
flawed, and
time.
maybe we're. I mean, I feel like now a lot of films are so obsessed with like
Yeah.
exploring the character and exploring the faults, and like I
Yeah.
enjoy that, but it's like it kind of pisses me off how nice Snow White is. I'm like, have you ever made a mistake?
Yeah.
Like, are
I
you really just
wonder-
that great?
I wonder if like that was kind of the point because like of the time it was released, and maybe that's why the controversy is happening nowadays. But it's like I think she was meant to be like, she's only 14, but like the perfect woman
Yeah.
where like she cleans and she cooks and she's gentle and she's always smiling and always positive. And I feel like maybe
I mean,
because you're
I
right.
kind of feel no, because I kind of feel like there are women like that even today. Like that's sort of the beauty of the spectrum of like not exactly like her. I mean, I don't know too many people who'd go in a jungle, like a scary jungle, and just make friends and be like cool with it. Like she's on a different level of optimism. Like I think when we were doing the reaction, I was like, she could be the queen of manifestation and positivity because she was just so positive.
Everything
all the
happens for
time.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the sort of the gentility and the kindness and being an animal lover and being caring and sweet. I mean, there are women like that. I'm sure there are women like that who are just sort of like, the family revolves around them and they're just very loving and naive and innocent. And I also think that I give her some grace because she's just so young. Like Jaley was saying, like if
I forget that she's supposed to be
Yeah.
that young. That bold red lip throws me off. So
I
she's supposed to
know.
be like 14.
She's in her Taylor
I think
Swift era.
14, 15. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's 15.
Wow.
I googled it.
Yeah, so she's supposed to be like, if she's just turned a teenager, 14, 15. So I think it makes sense. Like, and also like, I know there's a lot of, like, we'll talk about this with the Rachel Ziegler's criticism and everything that's been going on with the characterization of Disney and the adaptation they're planning. But I feel like, she's, I mean, I don't think it's to me that baffling that she could be this person. I mean, that's all she knows, right? Like her whole world has been she has a bit of a Cinderella story, but like you said, Emily, we don't get a backstory for what happened. Where is her dad? Is her dad that skeleton? By the way, spoilers, guys. Hopefully you see it. Check it out on Patreon in the reaction.
Good.
Is her dad that skeleton that was lying there?
Have a drink.
True.
Good
I
theory.
don't
I mean,
know.
all we got was that little bit at the beginning with the book. Basically, she has an evil stepmom.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's being made to work like Cinderella, except she's like,
Mhm.
well, cleaning an entire palace alone, which seems insane. But
She's still positive
she
about it.
yeah, but I
Crazy.
mean, I'm thinking like the way you could think of it is a bit like Stockholm syndrome. Like if you're just living
Mm.
that life and you don't see anything else, because she does seem very, very sheltered. Like she knows nothing else. She has no human friends. Like all her friends in the story are animals. And so I think if you're just seeing animals who are like gentle and kind and innocent and naive, I don't know what's playing with her psychology, but she's probably coming out very, very sheltered and very clueless.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the context of making her, I mean she's a female Doolittle, so she's just in her own zone. Like this girl is in her own world, and the only man she sees for all of like 2 minutes she falls in love with,
Only for you.
because that's the only man she's seen, probably human she's seen, because we don't even see
Mm.
any other townspeople. Like the kingdom doesn't seem to have any other civilians.
No, it's overall pretty small cast. Like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
couple humans and then a bunch of animals.
Yeah, like just 7 dwarfs that we know in a far off jungle, and I think Jaley got frozen, but hopefully
Oh
she'll come
no.
back. She'll hopefully rejoin us. But yeah, no, I think the cast was very tiny, so I think given her little world, I think it makes sense that she'll fall in love very quickly. She's quick
Mm.
to trust. She's quick to make friends. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to think of how she would be seen in today's, like the way I look at her is she's a bit like a girl child, right? Like she's not fully developed in some ways, right? So she's
I do give her more grace knowing that she is younger.
yeah,
And it's just so incredibly naive and trusting. And I don't know, it's I think in like the new film, I'm like curious to see how much they change her character too.
right.
Like I feel like this movie shouldn't have a live action remake. It's
Yeah,
so of its time.
that's
I
true.
feel
That's a
like
good point. I was gonna say.
yeah, I feel like personally I'm a much I prefer films that are new. I feel like a
Yeah,
lot of film right now is just recreating old stuff, and I
yeah.
crave the individuality right now. And I think I love Little Mermaid, but I don't think this movie needs a remake.
No, I agree with you. I don't really see the point, but I get that they're on a train with remakes because they know they're going to draw in like a
It's a
inbuilt
cash grab.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is unfortunate that because I think that's one complaint with Disney. In fact, that I had. I mean, now they're
Mm.
trying, but before when they just came out with Disney Plus and on Netflix, you would see so many originals, and on Disney they would just have very few of them, and they have so much legacy products with their Mickey Mouse and all these iconic, and they just kept putting that stuff up. And
Mhm.
I was even like hesitating to subscribe because I'm like, where's the new stuff? So I do
Yeah.
feel it's a bit unfortunate that they are going down this train. But I think Jaylee is almost joining us, so we'll see. Hopefully hopefully she shows up soon. But I was gonna say that I kind of feel like if you had to adapt it, you would have to, like, I don't see the point of adapting it and making it a period piece. Like, you would have to put it in the real world, and that could be interesting, right? Like, if you could have like a Snow White in the real world where you have maybe a girl who's popular, who's well liked, and then you have like somebody who's very jealous of her. And I think I'd be more
And
interested to see. Sorry, go ahead.
you know what I think did that really well? Have you seen Enchanted?
Thank you. Edward, we need help! Nobody's been very nice to me.
Yeah, well, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, Enchanted, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
Enchanted is a wonderful movie. I think Amy Adams slays that character, and it is exactly that of like that innocent being being
Yeah,
put in New York City and
yeah,
having her have to fend for herself. And I love the arc that she did. If the new
right,
Snow White movie is able to do something like that, I think
yeah.
maybe it'll be successful because that movie was like I love that movie. I think that movie does
I
that
agree with you. I
exactly.
agree with you. And I was so excited. Like maybe this is something, guys, if you're interested, we could check out Enchanted. And they had Disenchanted recently, which I also watched because I was
Mhm.
so excited to see it come back. But no, I agree with you. I think you have to put it in a modern context, and you have to, like, I mean, if you were to just make it like a modern day film of like
Mhm.
teenagers, and then you have like somebody who's jealous, I'm actually more interested in the evil queen's character. Like, I think it would be nice
Yeah.
to have like a just like a stand up, like a sort of a sequel or a standalone. What was the evil queen's childhood? What made her evil? Like, I think those would be much more interesting and exciting to watch, right? In
Because
today's.
she is so visually iconic, right?
Through wind and darkness I summon thee. Speak.
Yeah,
Like, you look at her, like, her costuming, her look is amazing. And I think Maleficent, the spinoff of
yeah,
another, evil, Disney villain, like, did really well. So I feel
yeah,
like if they did something like that, it would still be, like, a new story
right,
without, like, like, and people would still enjoy it. Like, I think she is so cool, and she's so evil, and, like,
yeah.
evil characters can be really fun sometimes, and I'm curious about her background as well to see what made her, who
Yeah,
she is.
I do feel like it's so interesting because this lady, like, her character really intrigues me because she is firstly beautifully drawn. So I think we should talk about
Mhm.
here. It's a good time to talk about how beautiful it looks like. And for something that came out in the 1930s, the animation, I think even today feels so well done. Like, I was like paying
Mhm.
close attention because I think the story is such a typical story. I think everybody knows Snow White's story, but I feel like just the way it was done by Disney and their animators, like small things, like, using
Mm.
the animals
Just like a doll's house.
and how they would creatively use them for little shots. Ah, there is Jaley.
Oh,
Hey.
good. Okay.
Jelly's back. Jelly's back.
I'm
There's a little bit
here.
of magic, movie magic there.
Mhm.
But we were just talking about, I think, the characters, Jelly. So we were
Mm-hmm.
getting into like the evil queen. But for me, I think talking about the evil queen, she's firstly very beautiful to look at, and why I think she's very interesting is that this queen has everything. From what you
Mm-hmm.
see, she's well dressed, she is gorgeous. I mean, I think she's actually more of a standout for me in terms of the visual art, of how
Yeah, I
they made,
agree.
compared to Snow White.
It's the
But
eyebrows.
Yeah.
the eyebrow, yeah, the
The
thin
arch
eyebrows
is
were very
everything.
in back then. Yeah, it's very 2000s for them with the with the eyebrows. But I feel like, what is interesting is that she has everything, and yet she's so insecure, and she's so
Mm.
caught up in this mirror which nobody else can see. So it's almost like she's seeking validation from this one source.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's so much room there to play with her psychology because she's a very disturbed person. The fact that, and I love how there's so many things you can take away even in today in 2023, is like, like jealousy is sort of the, what is it, like, it takes away all your joy in life, right? So in one hand
Mhm.
you see Snow White, who has, like, yeah, she knows the evil queen hates her, but she's living her best life even in the
Yeah.
jungle.
She's
She's doing like a
unbothered.
dance number with the door. Yeah, and then there you have the evil queen who cannot rest. Like, she's so obsessed with Snow White that she's like turning herself into an ugly hag. Like, it just feels like this is all that consumes her, and that's such a
Mm-hmm.
sad existence.
She's such a
But there's,
hater.
yeah, but I
She's
think
born to be a hater.
it's like a trap, right? Like, I mean, I kind of wish that if there was an adaptation and they focused on her, could there be redemption? Could there be knowledge? Could there be awareness? Because it's such a sad thing that you have everything. Why do you care? Why do you care about one person's beauty? So I feel like her character is very promising. But let's talk about the animation. What are things that stood out for you guys? Because this is what I think blew me away. This is the 1930s, and how beautifully they depicted just like multiple characters, right? You had the animals,
Mhm.
you had the dwarf,
Shoo!
you had synchronized dancing, you had rainfall. I mean, I was blown away. Like, I feel like it
Mhm.
stood the test of time. Even in 2024, we are watching this. I don't know how many years it's been. I'll have to do the math, but it's crazy how it's still amazing. What did you
Yeah.
think, Jaylee? I think we'll start with you.
I mean, I know that they have restored it a little bit since then. Um, but even
Yeah,
Mhm.
then, like, absolutely phenomenal. Like, I feel like when I've watched a lot of old animated films, you can still kind of see the sketch lines as they move.
Yeah.
You see
Mm.
lines, like all of it was so clean. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
moments where she's running or there's dancing. There's a lot of motion, and it just looked
Right.
clean.
Mm.
And no, it was crazy, and the way each of the dwarves like carried themselves was very distinguishable. While we were talking about like
Right.
characters, they don't have the time to really like go into the backstories of the characters, but they were all caricatures of whatever their name was.
Right.
And that was
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
very much the way their face was drawn. Like Sleepy had a very droopy face, Grumpy had the eyebrows,
Mm-hmm.
Dopey with the big floppy ears. It was really cool. It's really cool to see how they draw that
Right.
to distinguish each of the dwarves. And yeah, the whole scene with the evil
Yeah.
running away and like the rain and stuff.
After her.
I was like, how do you even do that? Anything with water. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like continuous water falling, and yeah, no, that was Emily. What were your thoughts? What were standouts for you in terms
Yeah,
of
I mean,
animation?
Jaley said that she was afraid of this movie as a kid, and I feel like
Yeah,
the animation's got to be pretty good to scare her, right? Like
that's true.
those scenes where like she's in the forest and she's tripping, like her imagination's going wild, and so she's freaking out. Like you get scared with her. It's very dark, very intense, and like the way they use their imagination to create these monsters out of like when the logs were in the water and they turn into alligators. Like it was very imaginative, and you can tell like the animators put thought into each little part of the scene. It was really remarkable.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think like that the detailing here was what impressed me a lot. Like just small things like the birds carrying, like when they were all cleaning the house together, how creative they
Yeah.
got with how the animals could participate, use their body. And it's just, I don't know, it boggles my mind how much thought was put into it. Like you really can see this is a passion project. Like and with the note that Walt Disney had in the beginning thanking his workers, because I know I was talking about this to you guys a little bit, but I remember watching the PBS documentary on Disney and about Snow White. There was a big chunk on Snow White because it was their first animated feature.
Yeah.
And there were women who did like obviously there were the top animators, and then there were women who were doing like a lot of the line work about with each and every scene and fixing it. And many of them were even going blind because they had to put in so many hours of manual labor. Like they didn't have the technology back then, and they just were also committed to making this thing come to life, that they didn't care. Like they put their health on the line, everything on the line to make this beautiful piece of art. And yeah, you see it today in 2024, you're still blown away by it. I want to add one more thing about it that I remember from the documentary. They talked about how, because it's like it really was opening in the cinemas. Like if you think about it, like before you had like maybe cartoons or little bits, like you talked about Steamboat Willie, Emily, they would have that in like on the television. They did play it in the theaters, like a little bit like a trailer teaser, but this was like a full length 1 hour 30-minute film, so people would line up to get tickets. And one of the things that Disney was banking on is that this is animation. Can you feel emotion for animated characters, because they're not real? So I think everything was like pinned on that scene when Snow White dies. And he says like when he went to the cinemas and he saw people breaking down and crying because she died, like it's blurring the line between reality and fantasy, and you're like buying into it, right? And that's when you knew that this is going to be a huge success. And it was, like, I think what did they say, like they earned about
It was 8 million.
which is
It
insane for
was
that time.
some insane amount. Yeah, so it was basically like 8 million, which coming in at, it might be $1 billion today, world's highest grossing animated film. So
Wow.
it's just crazy. So I think I think that's the other thing, is that they really made us invest. Like, I look at the humor now, it's very innocent, but even today it kind of stands the test of time. Like, there's a certain universality
Mm-hmm.
to how they made it all happen. And yeah, no, I think definitely one of the things that, maybe because the focus was so much on the technology and the bringing the animation and
Mm.
bringing the story to life, you don't get a lot of depth in these characters. So I don't think we can speak much for what is Snow White's background story, apart from being
Yeah.
Doolittle and Miss Perfect and being loved
Mhm.
by all.
They
What
didn't have
about
the
the
time for
dwarves?
that.
Who is this prince that she fell in love with, and
Yeah.
what's the evil stepmother's deal? You don't get any of that, but I somehow, it just feels like it doesn't matter, because you're just watching
Mm.
it and you're so visually awed by the spectacle
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening on. And then if you think about it, all these emotions for a woman they just met once, right? It was like
I
one
know.
night and she just blows
She's
everybody
that
away.
remarkable.
She's
Yeah.
She's the
that, I
fairest
mean,
in the
I
land.
mean,
What can I say?
I think I could understand though. Like, look at her love for animals. Like, she's talking to them and she's just so, I mean, if you meet someone like her and she's so nice to you, you'd probably be like, oh my God, I can't believe someone wants to
Snow
kill you.
White?
Yeah, I
No,
think
I
that was
love
like
her. She's
what
the
the
best.
mirror meant, because like even though the
Preserve
evil
her.
queen is also beautiful, and I think that that's the
Right.
point as to why the evil queen is also beautiful.
Mm.
The fairest in the land, I think the mirror has like a double entendre. Like, he doesn't mean beauty; he means like inner beauty. And I think
Ah,
the
something
queen just,
deeper.
yeah,
Ooh.
I think the queen just
I
in
like
her
that.
mind, all she sees is outer beauty. And so in her quest to like stop that, she becomes outerly ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
Mhm.
points. Deep points,
But
Jaley. I agree with you.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like that's the like real depth behind it. It's like you will never be the fairest in the land no matter how beautiful you are, because you're a rotten
Yeah.
person.
I know, that's
Period.
true.
That's a
That
great
is
thought.
true. Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, I think this was our thought on Snow White, guys. I mean, of course, this is sort of the general review with spoilers. I'm thinking everybody's seen it. I mean, except Emily hadn't seen it, so there are people who may not have. If you didn't, go check out our reaction. You can watch us reacting to it on Patreon just for $1, and tell us what your thoughts are. When did you first see this movie? How young were you? Was there scenes that scared you, like Jaylee said, or things that enchanted you? Let us know if you are a Disney princess in your own head. We all are. And tell us what other Disney film we should react to. We will have another, I think, video talking about the controversy that's going around. But I hope you enjoyed this review, and we will see you guys next time.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.